Before we start, real quick, just Brother Ahmed, Mahmoud, if you're here, do you have any questions on the grading, the rubrics, or the sheet that we shared?
No, but the only question is how long each intern will present? Is there time for questions or not?
Yeah. So interns have 4 minutes to present and then 2 minutes to ask a question. Or if they go a little bit early, then you do have more time for questions. And then they'll get cut off right at 7 minutes. Inshallah.
جزاكم الله خير.
Anytime. So let me pull up my calendar sheet so I know who's going what. Anyway, so again, assalamu alaikum, welcome. I'm glad everyone here can make it. I'm very excited for tonight. Your intern graduation presentations, y'all be working for this for your entire fourth quarter for 3 months now, alhamdulillah. So just to get us all ready, just to get us all prepared for what is coming in the next 2 hours, let's start with a Quran recitation by Brother Ahmed Roach. Ready?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا قال قد أوتيت سؤلك يا موسى ولقد مننا عليك مرة أخرى إذ أوحينا إلى أمك ما يوحى أن اقذفيه في التابوت فاقذفيه في اليم فليلقه اليم بالساحل يأخذه عدو لي وعدو له وألقيت عليك محبة مني ولتصنع على عيني إذ تمشي أختك فتقول هل أدلكم على من يكفله فرجعناك إلى أمك كي تقر عينها ولا تحزن وقتلت نفسا فنجيناك من الغم وفتناك فتونا فلبثت سنين في أهل مدين ثم جئت على قدري يا موسى واصطنعتك لنفسي اذهب أنت وأخوك بآياتي ولا تنيا في ذكري اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى فقولا له قولا لينا لعله يتذكر أو يخشى قال ربنا إننا نخاف أن يفرط علينا أو أن يطغى قال لا تخافا إنني معكما أسمع وأرى فأتياه فقولا إنا رسول ربك فأرسل معنا بني إسرائيل ولا تعذبهم قد جئناك بآية من ربك والسلام على من اتبع الهدى إنا قد أوحي إلينا أن العذاب على من كذب وتولى قال فمن ربكما يا موسى قال ربنا الذي أعطى كل شيء خلقه ثم هدى قال فما بال القرون الأولى قال علمها عند ربي في كتاب لا يضل ربي ولا ينسى الذي جعل لكم الأرض مهدا وسلك لكم فيها سبلا وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به أزواجا من نبات شتى كلوا وارعوا أنعامكم إن في ذلك لآية لأولي النهى منها خلقناكم وفيها نعيدكم ومنها نخرجكم تارة أخرى ولقد أريناه آياتنا كلها فكذب وأبى قال أجئتنا لتخرجنا من أرضنا بسحرك يا موسى فلنأتينك بسحر مثله فاجعل بيننا وبينك موعدا لا يخلفه نحن ولا أنت مكانا سوى قال موعدكم أنذركم يوم الزينة وأن يحشر الناس ضحى فتولى فرعون فجمع كيده ثم أتى قال لهم موسى ويلكم لا تفتروا على الله كذبا فيسحتكم بعذاب وقد خاب من افترى فتنازعوا أمرهم بينهم وأسروا النجوى قالوا إن هذان لساحران يريدان أن يخرجاكم من أرضكم بسحرهما ويذهبا بطريقتكم المثلى فأجمعوا كيدكم ثم أتوا صفا وقد أفلح اليوم من استعلى.
All right. Jazakallah khair for that. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah. So, just a quick reflection. Again, many of you may know this, but what the part of the Quran that was just recited was about Musa alayhi salam and him going to Pharaoh and him reflecting on his bounties, right? So, this man who had a lisp was about to go and talk to the most powerful person on the planet at the time, right? In order for him to do something that he definitely did not want to do, Pharaoh did not want to do. So that is an incredibly scary proposition, regardless of the fact, right? So that being said, when you go up to your presentations today, and you might have some nerves, you might have some things, you might have some jitters, think about the story of Musa alayhi salam and him having to face the most powerful man on the planet with a lisp. And inshallah, may that grant you mercy, may that grant you guidance, and may that grant you confidence to succeed, inshallah. So that being said, just a quick review on what's going to happen tonight. So every intern has 7 minutes to present. Again, 4 minutes for presentation, and then 2 minutes for question and answer, and then 1 minute just in case. If you pass your allotted time, you're going to get cut off right then and there because we have to keep on going. And then you're also going to get scored. You need a B to pass, and highest score will become valedictorian, and we'll deliver a short talk tomorrow. I will be announcing at GMI who valedictorian is, and also some of the top people will also present some of their slides as well tomorrow, inshallah. So we got 3 minutes until our first presentation, which is going to be Ahmed Roach, who just actually recited, alhamdulillah. So does Amu Ayman, the judges, have any words of confidence, words of wisdom for these young budding?
Let's introduce our judges, inshallah. If we want to, you have their bios?
Yeah, inshallah.
Do a quick
here,
introduction, right? And then see if anyone has questions from the judges about the process.
I got you. If you can give me just one tad second. While I do that, judges, you want to say assalamu alaikum? Say how's it all going?
So
Brother Mahmoud, you're on mute.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you, yeah.
Hi, Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Mahmoud Abarous. Very excited to be here today and to listen to your presentations. This is, Brother Ayman told me about all the hard work that you guys have been investing into this internship program, and I'm very excited to hear about the work that you guys have been doing over the past few months.
Jazakallah khairan. Mahmoud used to be a volunteer and a former board member, and he's one of the people who started ILIA back with us in 2009 and 10. So may Allah reward you for all your efforts, and we're glad to see you with us tonight. Alhamdulillah. Brother Ahmed, did you want to share a couple of words?
Sure. Jazakumullah khairan, Dr. Ayman, for inviting me, or Ammu Ayman, as everyone calls you. You have been famous with this name. So it's a pleasure to be with you here. Of course, I have been following ILIA from the day it was initiated, but I wasn't fortunate to be able to participate much. But I was joined you guys during the fundraiser, and I will hold you accountable for what you said about sharing your experience with the community, inshallah, in large. And also, I would like to hold you accountable that, inshallah, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you will be able to use or benefit the Muslim community in general and remember what you have learned. Whatever the life will throw at you, maybe some of us, go through troubles, but always go back to what you have gone through, this education and experiences, and inshallah it will guide you to get back to the right path, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
All right. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. Adam, you ready? No, my fault. Ahmed, you ready? Let's get it started. All right, cool.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed Roach. I'm the finance investment analyst for ILIA. My role can be split into three major categories: financial analysis, investment analysis, and compliance. For financial analysis, that's performance tracking through key performance indicators, projections and forecasts like cash flows and budgets, for example, and feasibility studies for any investments that we want to do. And investment analysis is just endowment, tracking the endowment and doing stock research for the endowment. And for compliance, that's internal controls and also business rules for our data, and also Sharia and legal compliance. My key accomplishments are the internal controls, because we didn't have that in place before. We ran our first audit, and what that does is to increase our working with taqwa, to make sure that everything we do is done well, and to review all our financial transactions and review all our work to make sure that it complies and it's focused on our mission. And also, I've worked on cash flow forecasts to make sure that we can look into the future and see what we need and see what we've been planning, and to help decision making for the organization. For community impact, I helped us get the GuideStar Gold Seal, which is a seal of transparency from a donor database, and that's just we went from bronze to silver to gold from what I did, and that improves our public perception and our branding, and helps us, for example, when we're applying for grant applications, because people can see our data and people can see our seal, and we'll get more views by that. And also, just in general, we're more financially organized, because we have a specific person, me, to do the to make sure that we have everything in place financially, and that we're responsible to donors, and that we're transparent and focused on our financially, so that we can focus on our mission and carry out our mission. For impact on myself, the biggest impact is the skills I've gained that you really can't learn anywhere else. They don't. For example, Salesforce is really important. I mean, it's the world standard CRM, and using that is really powerful for a future job. And also budgeting and cash flow forecasting, you can't teach that in college, because you need an actual organization with actual data and an actual mission to focus on the budgeting and forecasting. And I think that was very important. And also with finance, they don't really teach in college, but interdepartmental collaboration just means that what I do has to reflect everything the rest of the organization does. Like the programs have to be focused. I have to know what everybody else is doing to support the mission, so that I know when I'm doing the finances that I have the goal and all the goals are aligned. And I think it's going to help me in the future, because I'm aiming for an Islamic finance career, inshallah, and this will help me through the skills I've learned to get a big head start on that, and also just the responsibility of a internship in an actual organization, instead of just doing like any random job at a restaurant or a shop or something.
Any questions from the judges? Like one question from the judge.
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. I do have one question. Can you talk a little bit about the impact on the community again? I think I might have missed that. I just want to make sure I captured that.
Yeah, so for impact on the community
Yeah, sorry. So just more specific, I know you already went through this slide, but can you talk about how this the GuideStar impacted ILIA and also the community at large, Muslims and non-Muslims? So what was like the end impact of your internship on the community?
Well, for GuideStar, it increases transparency of the organization. So donors are more confident when they donate, and they have their funds can be used more efficiently, because when we apply for grants, for example, and whatever we do, everybody can see that we have we're focused and that we're a reliable organization to help us carry out our mission.
Got it. Perfect. Okay, so it's basically the impact was increased transparency for ILIA from a financial perspective,
Yeah.
right? Is that correct? Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, that's good to hear. With 1 minute to spare too, alhamdulillah, look at that. All right, cool. So next person is actually going to be Mahmoud. Mahmoud, you here on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mahmoud. I'm a website editor in the outreach team. I've been with ILIA for 6 months now. So my role at ILIA is website editing. I create and update posts for ILIA's different events and programs and post them on the website. So I've created and published 21 posts for both of our interview series, Thoughts of Leaders and Voice of the Present, on the website. I've also updated the social media aspect of the YCL website for better engagement and interaction with the community. I've also created an ADHD corner page on our website, so people can learn more about ADHD, what it is, and how they can deal with it. So this wasn't updated. I've updated it, but so I strive to make my posts as interesting as possible so people can find it fun and like interesting to learn. So when people read like my posts, they learn more information about certain topics. They also like develop a better connection with ILIA as an organization, and most importantly, they learn more about their deen and Islam through ILIA. So ILIA gave me new opportunities and improved my presentation skills and communication skills. And during GMI, which is Good Morning ILIA, I've learned many important skills and lessons that I can use on later in life. And inshallah, I'll continue with ILIA.
All right, sounds good, alhamdulillah. Any questions for Mahmoud?
Assalamu alaikum. So one question, you mentioned the impact on community. You try to make your posts more interesting. Can you give me some examples, like some maybe creative ideas or posts that you were able to post that generated interest? Just some examples. I'm just trying to imagine in my head.
So like for Thoughts of Leaders, I try to make it like so it's color coded instead of just listing them.
Mm-hmm.
So like you find it easier and more like colors more appealing.
Okay, got it. Jazakallah khair.
So Mahmoud actually has a lot of time, so we can.
I have a question for Mahmoud. Did you mention something about like good morning or like a meeting at ILIA?
Good morning, Ilya. So through Monday through Thursday, we have a good morning, Ilya. It's like a meeting at 7:15 in the morning. Or like at ILIA, like everyone joins up and we like get to learn more about just stuff that will help us through our day and help us through ILIA and how to so it's like life skills basically that in any other like organization you wouldn't be able to learn them.
Jazakumullah khair.
All right, Mahmoud, how do you feel that what you apply, like what you do at ILIA, affects you at school? So like the stuff you do at ILIA, does it help you at school? Like how does that work?
Yeah, it definitely helps at school for like projects, because before like I wouldn't be the team leader for a project at school, but now with like my leadership and communication skills, I'll be able to take on that role as a group leader and like help my team through our projects at school.
Cool. Audience. Oh, my fault. I'm on. You got it.
No, I just want to share with the group, just remember to introduce yourself, what grade you're in, what school you go to, where you live, just at a high level when you start your presentation.
Inshallah. All right.
So let's start with Mahmoud. He
And
has
just one more question.
a few more minutes.
Sorry, one more question.
Okay.
Mahmoud, can you go back to the impact on the community again? Okay, I should.
Let me find the updated.
Is there just one question on this again? Was there any way that you tried to gauge the results of your post on either the success of ILIA or the impact that it had on the people seeing the post? I know it's hard. It's hard to gauge because you really don't know how people perceive your posts sometimes. But maybe are there any comments that you've gotten, reactions that show that the effectiveness of your posts? Any way that you were able to gauge that effectiveness?
Oh, I haven't got any comments specifically, but on like my updated page, I have like Google Analytics showing that like 35 people per week read these posts and interact with it. So.
Okay, very good. Jazakallah khair.
Let me share my screen. So this was the information that he was missing. So Mahmoud, do you want to talk about this real quick?
Yeah, I've kind of went over the analytics, but yeah, so I just help like people get like a better development, like a better connection with ILIA, and they get to learn more about the Islamic way of ILIA through like my posts and stuff.
All right, sounds good. Alhamdulillah. All right, so I think any questions from the crowd before we move forward? It's fine to grill your teammates. All right, sounds good. So moving on forward, we have Hanan, the bench. Let me see if your slide works right now. I don't have access. Hanan, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. I just requested access on your thing. Accept it real quick. Big light.
Yeah. So I'm Nudi, and I am the partnership analyst of this team. I basically get data from.
Can I stop you for a second, Noreen? I heard it during the fundraiser more than this. So can you raise your voice a little bit?
Yeah. I'm Nureen, the partnership analyst of this team. And basically what I do is I collect all the contact information of people that we're trying to reach. I start by researching everyone that we're trying to get the contact of. For example, if it were mosques in Maryland, I would start to research all the mosques in Maryland. And then I make a spreadsheet and I have columns with names, addresses, and the website links of all these mosques. And when all information is found, I send it to Uncle Ayman and he will upload it to Salesforce. So because ILIA has many events and meetings and presentations, we want more audience and more people to support us and see what we're doing. So these contact information, it really public. It makes ILIA more public to everyone and gives them notice. Like they might have no idea what it is, and then they open their mail and they see an email from us, and suddenly they're interested in our meetings. Personally, I gained a lot of research skills from this. I know how to find the information that I want and need, and how to organize information. Yeah, that's what I do.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah, I think can you go back to how your work affected the community? I think you went very quickly. So is there a way you can tell us how many mosques or organizations you were able to reach? And
So Uncle Ayman sent me a list of some states that I should look at. It was about 13 states in total, and I was able to get about 50 mosques per state. But the thing is that not all of them see the emails, or not all the emails reach to them. Some of them I couldn't even find their emails. So if I can find more, I always try to get the more the better.
Any other questions?
so can you
Can you
elaborate again about how did you benefit, or how this can affect your future?
Me personally, it it showed me how to really organize information. The spreadsheets, it's really organized, and research skills. I know how to find the information that I want now. Even if I couldn't find it on the mosque's website, I would still try to find it somewhere else. So. And research is important in my future.
Okay.
can you talk about the impact this has had on the community and yourself one more time? You might have mentioned it, but I think I missed it.
Sorry.
The impact that this internship experience has had on yourself personally and the community.
Right now, this it's raised. It's like the amount of people that know about ILIA in these past few months, ever since I've started creating these spreadsheets, has really risen a few percent. And to me, it's kind of nice to get a bunch of spreadsheets done that I know are actually doing something. It's like going out to people so that these people can see us and what we're doing.
Got it. Thank you. And the impact on yourself, personally, I know you talked about what you learned from this experience, but any other things that you've gained from this experience besides learning the new skills?
Well, knowing about all these mosques, I honestly didn't know that there was this many mosques in the United States. I didn't think that they had all these Islamic organizations and schools, but there was a ton, and a lot of organizations like ours.
Jazakallah khair.
All right, sounds good. Any questions from the crowd before I move forward? The audience member questions, going once, going twice. All right, that sounds fun. That sounds exciting. Thank you so much, Noreen Nassar, for presenting. We're gonna go back to Hanan. The technical difficulties has been fixed. So let me just pull up that slide real quick. Thank you. All right, so you get an extra minute. Tell me when you're ready, and we can get started.
Can I start?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hanan Debencho. I am an outreach intern at ILIA, and my role is to edit and make thumbnails for ILIA's YouTube channel. I create posts for the Youth Crisis Line's Instagram and Twitter. I do a lot of preparing and recording and editing for interviews that Sumaya and I both conduct. Well, she mostly conducts it. I just work on behind the scenes. Both the interviews, one of them is called Voices of the Present, which is mostly based on the youth's like their viewpoints on different topics, and Thoughts of Leaders are more for leaders, ones that aren't youth. So key accomplishments that I have done was prepare and edit 14 videos for Thoughts of Leaders, and prepared and edited 9 videos for Voices of the Present. Inshallah, more are coming soon. I have posted 78 posts on the Youth Crisis Line's Instagram and Twitter, gained 50 plus followers and 670 plus total likes for the Youth Crisis Line's social media. Impact I've had on the community is that educating and engaging with youth about various topics that happen currently in the world through interviews and posts. And then impact on myself and the next steps that I have is that ILIA has provided me with a space where I could reach to youth through my videos and some skills that I have learned. There are some skills that I've learned through ILIA's courses that prove useful in the future, like proper communication. And the next steps that I have is to continue posting daily on these Crisis Lines Instagram and Twitter, and producing more content on the 2 interview series for youth to watch, enjoy, and engage with.
All right, sounds good. I actually had a question. So, can you tell me the process of how like a post or an article or a content gets from idea to like publishing?
Yeah, sure. So it actually depends. Sometimes if we have a list of people that we would like to interview, depending on who they are, we find a topic that suits them. Once we find the topic, me and Sumaya, we come up with the questions, about 5 or 6 questions. And if we need more, we'll add more. Maybe if we want to have more, like if we have more questions, sometimes Sumaya comes up with more questions on the spot. Then we set up a meeting, we go on Zoom, record the whole interview, and then I edit the videos, which takes me a few hours. Then I make the thumbnail, have it all ready, polish it up, and then put it on ILIA's YouTube channel. Sometimes it takes a few days for it to go up, but usually it should be up within like the next 2 or 3 days. And for a post, usually it depends. If I want to do like an ayah or a hadith, I run it through with Brother Ayman and see if it's authentic and if the meaning is proper. And if it is, then I post it on their social media.
Sounds good. And then like, how long do you think like the time frame is? You kind of talked about it, like to like get something up.
For the videos, those take, I would say, I mean, it depends on how long the interview is. If it's like half an hour, it would probably take me 2 hours. 3 if it's like a lot. If it's about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it probably take me an hour at most.
All right, sounds good. Any questions from the judges?
Yeah, Hanan, salam alaikum. Can you tell us, like, would you be interested in pursuing a career similar to what you're doing now? Does this have an effect, or is it just a hobby?
As of right now, I view it as a hobby. Maybe in the future, I might get serious. I might be seriously interested, but as of right now, it's more of like something fun to do, like a hobby.
For the for the youth crisis line, you mentioned here that you've gained 50 followers and 670 likes. Do you feel that your posts have translated to actually people reaching out for help in any way? Or has it been more just reactions and followers? Is there any more that you were able to gain from the as far as impact? Anyone reached out, for example, messaged ILIA through the site, the page, and said, "I need help"?
I actually don't have information on that. Zafar is more equipped to answer that question.
Okay. Second.
Any questions from the crowd before we move forward?
No, just to add to the question, it's a great question, but for separation of duty, the people who will post don't necessarily access the messaging for the crisis line, especially the crisis line because it's a bit confidential. Maybe Zafar can touch on that when he gets to
All right, sounds good. Okay, we have a minute until the next person comes up, which is Razeen Khan. So let's see if Razeen's here. You here, big man? Razeen. Let me give him a time.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, so you're up actually. How you doing?
Okay.
Do you want to get started right now, or do you want to wait 1 minute? You got an extra minute on you.
I can go right now.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. So I'm working on healthcare, or my area of focus is on healthcare, and I'm a project manager. And I'm working on creating a wellness clinic. Right now it's virtual because of COVID, but it could this could be a physical thing. And so I'm focused on addressing health. We want to address healthcare issues. Specifically, we want to serve the Baltimore community and the DMV community. I also was doing some healthcare research, and I wrote an article about health statistics in Baltimore. And for the wellness clinic, we want to put out regular content about different wellness information and focusing on sort of the major issues people face, particularly heart health, cardiovascular disease, and sort of the main issues that the research has shown most people have issues with. So for my main accomplishments, was establishing the agenda and sort of the framework for the Wellness Center. So because of COVID, I decided that maybe focusing on sort of an internet, a website, would be sort of the main, I guess, product of this clinic. And so there would be a website, and then we would have health content through articles and videos and events online, an online clinic with doctors seeing patients, for example, and other sorts of events. And I worked with interns to create the wellness page and the content and sort of the branding. And so that's what I did. So for me, I learned new ways to communicate with team members. So this was the first time I did a project that's in this sort of way where we're all working virtually on this, and I learned sort of how to coordinate with different people to get different parts of this done. And for the community, I also hope that the health content that we create will benefit the DMV community and through our events and articles. For the next steps, we're planning to launch the Wellness Clinic on January 9th. So within the next, little over a week, I want to host health events and then continue working on the, I guess the long-term sort of plan for what the events and the content will be, and then have that mapped out. So that's what I'm going to be working on.
Cool. Any questions?
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, I do have a question. So is this an actual physical clinic that's going to require hiring doctors, nurses, or is this more for like medical educational awareness? I know you mentioned that you're right now, the goal is to create a website, more educational awareness due to the current pandemic, but is a long-term goal to create a physical clinic?
So when I was initially we were discussing this, like the idea was to have a physical clinic, but because of COVID, we were thinking that right now in terms of like what we can actually do, like event-wise, we could only do things like online pretty much, and so that's why it made more sense to sort of focus on sort of like a virtual type of thing. But I guess if it takes off and then we like start building like a following, like it could become a physical location. So that's not like out of the question, but I think, once we discuss like what we can do right now, we just thought this was like a good way to start.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Another question that I had, can you talk about a little bit about what, I know you said you were able to develop the agenda and the framework. Can you talk about what exactly you were able to do as far as that framework? Is it like a blueprint for the center, or is it, did you actually build the website that you were referring to?
So I have, so the people who work in tech are like the webmaster. They're interns who like focus on sort of like creating like web content for ILIA. So I was working with them. So my part of it was mostly just like, I guess like the layout or like what I think like the type of content we should have. And then as far as like creating sort of an outline for like what needs to be done. So like planning out like how we're going to brand and then like how we're going to advertise or like when we're going to advertise. So it's more like the overall like overarching plan for like when we should have things happen, or like, how often should we release articles, or like how often should we have events and like what the events could be. So it's more like just the framework of like how the clinic will operate and like how we're gonna like continue to like create it.
Got it. And you said, one more question, you said the launch is January. So the launch of what exactly?
January 9th. So that's like when I'm hoping to have like the branding done. So we're still like in the process of creating a logo. And so like having like a logo done, like having like the website like mostly be like up, like having like a decent amount of content posted, and then having like a schedule of upcoming events, like having like that like basically planned out. So that's what we're thinking of, and like that would be like when we like advertise like, okay, like ILIA is like opening this clinic, and that would be like we would have like an advertising campaign around that time, like announcing that we're doing this. Got it.
Okay. I'm sorry, one more question. Because this is actually I think it's a very needed area in our community. The posts that you're going to generate, are they going to be related to a certain topic, like something, like diseases, or is it going to be general from an Islamic perspective? We should be taking care of our health. Kind of reminders for the community how Rasulullah advised us to do, certain things to take care of our health. So what is the plan, or what are you planning on posting? I'm just trying to get an understanding of the type of content.
Okay. So I think what you said is actually a good idea, but it's not what I was thinking of, but I think that could be incorporated, like taking like a more Islamic perspective as far as like what the Prophet ﷺ like said about health, or like how we should take care of our health. But the way I was sort of thinking of it was when I first started this project, I wrote an article about like health statistics in Baltimore and sort of like the main issues that people face. And so, like for example, like a lot of like some big issues were like asthma, like heart health, like drug abuse, or certain things. And so the focus, at least for the health content, was like, okay, like the highest mortality rate like comes from cardiovascular disease and like cancer, and sort of like certain major issues like in this area, or like asthma was also kind of big. And so it was more like, the idea was to have content more like geared towards like those things where it's like, it affects a lot of people. and so have like the information for those topics. But we could sort of change it as this develops and see what type of content is more beneficial. But that was sort of the thought process.
Jazakallah khair.
MashaAllah, great work, Razin. But I missed to get your background. So if the presenter doesn't mention his background, I kindly ask Alawi or Dr. Ayman to introduce them, because it makes a big difference when you talk about medical and you have a medical background, or you are a student, or you are actually a doctor. It will give us more sense about what you're doing. So what's your background?
Right.
What's your education?
So I just recently graduated. I majored in public health. I graduated in May, and so now I'm on a gap year, and I'm applying for medical school. And so I was, interning for ILIA, inshallah, for this year while I'm on this gap year. But I have I guess like a pre-med sort of background in public health.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. So would you be able to support as part-time volunteer after this year is over, because the work probably will continue, inshallah? So is this a plan you have in mind?
The plan I have, or I was talking with Brother Ayman about it, was to eventually get someone who can sort of be like my deputy, and then kind of train them in as far as like, how I manage this, or like how this is managed, and then have someone take over from me, and then be sort of, I guess, the overall project manager for this. I mean, I guess if I'm able to contribute in some way, like I'd be open to it, but that plan is to have someone take over after I leave.
Jazakumullah khair.
All right, so thank you, Razin Khan. Next, we have Zafar Nassim. You want to introduce yourself and get started?
Yeah, sure. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for spending some of your time this evening to, listen to us and what we have to say. So my name is Zafar Nassim. I'm a freshman currently studying at the University of Maryland, majoring in neuroscience and business management. And this is my quick presentation. Alhamdulillah, I joined ILIA back in 2017, which was a very interesting time for ILIA, since there weren't really too many different youth around at the time, and the whole concept of what ILIA is today was very, I guess, different back in 2017. So I initially joined in as a development intern. I joined in because Brother Ayman actually reached out about a specific opportunity, to make a tangible impact in society, and I was interested, so that's how I joined. I came in as a blank slate. I didn't know anything really. I didn't have any skill sets, any background or anything. Alhamdulillah, I think over the last 3 or 4 years, I've learned a lot, and inshallah, I hope to touch upon that throughout this presentation. So I joined in and I learned a lot about, writing grants. I learned a lot about public speaking, and I began my first project with a friend of mine called the Empower One Project. And what we did was specifically provide systems thinking training to youth in Baltimore City. It was a skill that I think a lot of students in school don't exactly know about. And teaching them all the different ways of tackling different problems that they may face in day-to-day life through a systems thinking perspective. So what that exactly means is, looking at all the different factors in play in a situation and understanding how to go about solving it given all those different factors. And alhamdulillah, that was a very successful program. And I think after that program was done, I wanted to delve into something else that I was interested in. At the time, I was really fluent in video editing. So alhamdulillah, I did a lot of different video editing projects for ILIA that included, fundraising dinner videos, promotional videos for different events, stuff like that. I also worked on my first grant when I was in 10th grade or so. It was called the Youth as Resources Grant. And I basically ran the team behind it. Brother Ayman was there coaching me. And alhamdulillah, we appeared as the most competitive applicant for this grant. And as a 10th grader among, a lot of different older people that were applying for this grant, being the one to actually receive it was a really great feeling. I think that, really propelled me to different positions now in ILIA. So all the different skills I learned, alhamdulillah, I also transitioned into the role of vice president, I think sometime late 2018, early 2019. At the time, I was helping manage the organization, all the different programs and such. I served as a community representative to many other different organizations in the DMV, such as ICNA, such as ISNA, other local masajids, talking to them about, what we, the youth at ILIA, can offer our services and what support that we can provide. From there, I moved on to Internship Program Director, where I helped direct our internship program and scale it to where it is today. And now currently working as the Youth Crisis Line Director. Inshallah, I'll touch upon that in the next slide. So some of my key accomplishments. So through the Empower One workshop series that I managed to do back in 2017, early 2018, alhamdulillah, I managed to empower about 30 to 40 youth with all, systems thinking skills. And I think it was really important because a lot of the youth that did come and attend our program, the workshop, didn't exactly have that skill set first and foremost, and they also didn't know how to deal with the many different situations that they were facing. I think a lot of them came from very high risk backgrounds, and I think this knowledge was very valuable to them. And I know that personally, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from the folks that did attend the program. I'm also working as the Youth Crisis Line Director, so I think there was a little bit of conversation prior from the other folks attending. So the Youth Crisis Line is our crisis stabilization service. Currently, I'm working to scale that. Hanan, Sumaya, Shed, some folks that you will hear from later on, you've already heard from. They work on the social media side, which is where we come up with content to post to gain more youth traction onto this, since it is a youth-led and youth-run program serving the youth. So from a lot of the different content that we put out, whether it's going on live, just having like a story time session or just a general conversation, posting videos and such, we get a lot of, feedback after those sessions. And, I think, Mahmoud, you were asking a question earlier about, what's the impact of people call in? And the answer is yes, a lot of people do call in once these posts are established and once these posts are out there. I think on Sunday, we actually had an Instagram live, and right then and there, we got an individual that reached out to us for help. So alhamdulillah, it's doing a good amount of impact in the community. I think a lot of people, especially youth, when they see youth out there serving others, that they're more receptive to the idea of reaching out for help when they need it. So as Internship Program Director, alhamdulillah, I helped onboard more than 15 interns when I was in that role. When I was creating videos and other promotional materials, I helped create more than 10 videos. I also moderated various events. That includes Youth Crisis Line open houses, internship onboarding sessions, and organization-wide events. And I think that really strengthened my skill in public speaking and such. And again, I represented ILIA at many different organizations throughout the years. Next slide, please. So impact on self, I think I learned a lot of different things here at ILIA so far, and I plan to continue on in my internship. I've learned, other than public speaking, I think I've developed a lot of self-confidence. I know when I came into ILIA, I was a very shy person. I didn't exactly know how to go about doing things. And I think a lot of the skills and the experience that I've had here has really opened my eyes to my own abilities and, what I can do, to benefit the wider community. I think it's also allowed me to apply some of my interests. So personally, I'm planning to pursue a career in psychiatry, or even just creating a mental health care system. That's sort of one of my goals. And I think, the Youth Crisis Line, coupled with my experiences in, as a vice president managing, helping manage an organization like this, really will help, propel me in my further pursuits, inshallah. So in the future, I do plan to continue as Youth Crisis Line Director, work to promote the YCL services and really expand the YCL service to more masajid, more Muslims, more non-Muslims out there in the United States, so that more people know about this critical service and inshallah can benefit from it. Jazakallah khair. So I'll take any questions.
Assalamu alaikum. One question, I know for the Youth Crisis Line, you mentioned one person during Instagram Live that reached out. Over your time, overseeing the program, can you give a little bit more impact as far as what the Youth Crisis Line was able to do as far as, its mission? I believe, I'm not too aware of it, but I think it's, obviously to live up to its name, you help anyone that's in distress. But what more, do you have any more impact stories you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. So I think prior to the Youth Crisis Line, there really wasn't a service out there specializing in, addressing the mental health needs in the Muslim community in specific. And I think once the Youth Crisis Line really emerged a couple years ago, was there a resource out there that folks that that were Muslim could reach out to comfortably and understand? I mean, I just assumed this role back in August, so I don't have too many impact stories that I can pull off on the top of my head. But I know a lot of folks that have come in and received counseling through the Youth Crisis Line have talked about all the different places that they've came from, whether it was about to leave Islam and how the Youth Crisis Line helped them rejuvenate their strength in their religion, whether it was an elderly person dealing with the loss of their child or something. They would reach out to us and understand how much that made an impact to them. And I think sure there's a lot of different individual impact stories out there, and I don't think I'll have the capacity to just touch upon them, but I know that there are a lot of other masajids, a lot of different communities out there, a lot of different organizations that have asked more about the service and are really receptive to the idea of even partnering with us to make sure that their community members are more aware for it. And I think that there's a lot of potential to continue to scale this program. And I think it can be even more impactful beyond the individual, inshallah.
Yeah, I think that idea of partnering with the masjids is definitely a great idea, because a lot of people will automatically go to the masjid, and for them to work with you guys and you guys working with them, that's really strengthening the Muslim community. So I really do think that's a good idea. One more question about the Youth Crisis Line. Do you guys have enough resources to manage a demand? And it looks like, based on what you're telling me, that the demand is definitely there. I'm just wondering, from the resource side, do you guys have the resources that are able to address the demand of the Muslim community?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think currently the one resource that we are lacking on is counselors. So I think prior to me taking over leadership, we did have a fair amount of counselors volunteering at the time to answer calls. But what happened was that I think not a lot of attention was paid to the Youth Crisis Line at the time. So what happened was they tended to drop off. Now, unfortunately, we're down to only one counselor. So what we're doing is we're inshallah, we're going to promote, volunteer posts on LinkedIn and other, job sites, so we can gain some more attention to the need that we have a lack of counselors, and we have positions to fill in. I've also reached out to my own personal contacts that I know about that are involved in the mental health field and know folks that are interested in a position like this. So inshallah, they'll be getting back to me soon. We're also reaching out to other folks that have worked with ILIA in the past to see if they're interested. Beyond that, I'm also working to bring together a sort of advisory board of professionals from across the United States, whether they're non-Muslim or Muslim, that have more of knowledge and more of a background in this, so that inshallah, not only do I have their support moving forward with their resources and their entities, but I also have, their, I guess, expertise, so they can back me up, since I am still, a student learning about all this kind of stuff. So then inshallah, they'll be there to, I guess, support me.
MashaAllah. And I think now is, the perfect time to do that outreach that you're referring to, because as you know, a lot of masjids are closed in this pandemic. So someone that needs help, they might try to email a masjid, and we don't know if they have those resources. But if you can partner with those masjids, and they don't have the resources, they automatically refer that person to you guys. That really forms that connection right now, at a time when it's hard to connect the people who need help with the resources. So I really do think that's the perfect time to be aggressively promoting this initiative. That's it for me.
All right, cool. So
Ahmed, any questions?
No, mashallah. I think the only comment I have is Brother Zafar had a head start over everyone with how many years he has. So I think, I'm not sure if it's good for the rest of the team or not. MashaAllah.
All right, so I'm going to move on to Islam Haraz, if you're on the call. There, Islam. Assalamu alaikum. Can you give me access to your presentation?
Oh, the It's in the spreadsheet, right?
Yeah. And I'm gonna go to Adam Banoum and then come back to you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, Adam. Where are you at? You ready? You ready for your big day?
Yeah.
All right, let me pull you up real quick. Okay, I'm playing right now. Need some.
Okay, start. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Adam Ghanoum. I'm almost 18. I've been with ILIA since March of 2019. And yeah, I go to Delaney High School in Baltimore County. So my role as an intern is, I work on misconceptions about Islam, which is a series of articles that I write as a part of ILIA research. I also lead the youth council, and I participate in the APPL lab, the APPL certification course, which includes a lab program that I'm currently working on to free Dr. Afia Siddiqui. I participate in debates against other organizations, like the one we did a few weeks back against Mafik. And, I, help as a part of ILIA research, analyze societal problems and bring it to the attention of the ILIA community and see what we can do about it. So my key accomplishments this quarter, I participated in one debate against Mafik the other week. And I also completed one new article for Misconceptions About Islam, which I'll tell you more in depth about it. It's a series of articles that breaks down all the misconceptions about our faith that exist within our communities, Muslim communities, and outside of that. All the misinformation out there and all the misunderstood ideas. These articles that I write, they break down everything and help people understand, what our religion actually teaches and not what's on the internet. So I completed one new article for that series this quarter, alhamdulillah. Another accomplishment is the course section of the APPL certification that I'm doing. Ali was a great teacher, alhamdulillah. We completed the teaching section of that, and now we're on the lab. And I also the other day we did our first youth council event in which we had a youth discussion on COVID and its relation to school. So for impact on community, we've brought hundreds of visitors to the research.islamic leadership site, which is where we publish articles, including the ones under the Misconceptions About Islam title. And we've garnered hundreds of views and likes from quotes published on social media. I probably should have had one up here, but we take quotes from these articles that I write and we put them in nice templates and backgrounds and put them on social media. And they have links to the article for people to read. So it helps us get visitors there. And, of course, community-wide, we've helped, contribute to, discussions on some of these misconceptions and some of these ideas that are circulating there. So impact on self. When I first started doing this project, my writing and research skills, I thought I was good. Brother Ayman showed me I wasn't good, right? He's throwing all this academic content at me, forced me to learn and really get reading and get, learning a lot faster. So, now I look at my first article that I wrote compared to my last article, there's a big difference in its level. I've also, developed my public speaking and debate skills. I've learned project management skills and how to prioritize stuff. And my typing speed, it's shot up exponentially. I was at 20 words per minute. Now I'm at 60 words per minute. I feel real proud of that.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's about it. We got time for one question, 1 to 2 questions. We got 2 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Adam. So when you say the impact on the community, you said you had hundreds of visitors. So how many hundreds?
We had around 150. I can pull up the analytics and get you the number of visitors, but in the past, analytics tracks the last 90 days.
And within all the combined articles, weighed around 150.
جزاكم الله خير. Just word of advice. It's
Yes.
best to have the numbers, maybe a
Right.
chart, especially if
You're
you're
right.
working with a website and data and all that. It would be more meaningful.
I
جزاك الله
absolutely
خير.
agree. I absolutely.
It's cool.
So one quick question. You mentioned the article about misconceptions for about Islam. Where would this be published? It's going to be published on the ILIA website.
So research.islamic leadership is a subdomain of the ILIA website, right? So if you go to it, that's where the articles are published.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, cool. So Jazakallah khairan, Adam, for your presentation. Let's try Islam one more time. Let me see if this works. And we're good to go. All right, Islam Haraz. You ready for the limelight?
Yeah. So, assalamu alaikum.
Loading screen to finish today.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Islam. I've been an intern since this summer 2020. So my main role here at ILIA is fundraising. This includes creating campaigns on Network for Good, which is the platform I mainly use to for fundraising. For example, I made the Withering the Storm campaign, which is the event that we had for our end of year fundraising. I also email contacts who have donated in the past and work with the outreach team to invite donors to check our campaigns. And I also update, I also update the team on our progress and just the status of all our campaigns and how they're going. Yeah. So I definitely learned fundraising skills, and this included keeping donors engaged. And this is by telling them like how their donations are going to help us and keep them updated on how the organization is going. I also learned how to write emails better because I had to reach out to donors, and this included a lot of email writing. And well, I learned how to present the campaign and tell them the cause and keep the email kind of precise. And also definitely improved in learning how to communicate with the team because some of these projects I took the leadership role in and kind of had to manage. And this included like telling the team how they can help and kind of what needs to be done in these projects. Okay. So impact, I definitely spread some awareness about what we do here in ILIA. This includes like updating donors on how their contributions will help ILIA. For example, I could say that the donations that they made could help us operate the crisis line for a day. And I'm just overall inviting people to be part of a good cause and be part of something good. Like, for example, the roof campaign. I let the donors know that if they donate, they can help us repair our roof, and this will help us keep our dorm service, which is important for students who need the cheap housing, and it's just something that could benefit a lot of people. Impact on myself. I definitely improved in leadership and project management. And I also improved in time management because I kind of had to balance the internship and schoolwork. And as the semester went on, I feel like I improved in making a schedule for my day and kind of getting work done on time. And I also definitely gained work experience and kind of an idea of how to work in an organization. Next steps, I definitely need to be more independent because I kind of relied on Brother Ammon a lot to tell me what needs to be done and how to do things. And I'm also going to use the skills I learned here in the internship and apply them in the future. whether that includes time management or project management. And yeah, that's okay.
Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair. What's the biggest challenge that you faced during your internship?
That would probably be staying on top of things and like kind of managing the project, because I'm not really good at like time management, and kind of with school going on and stuff, I tried my best to like keep up with everything and stay on top of things.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum, Islam. So can you compare the success of the campaign that you managed compared to previous campaigns?
Like a campaign that I did.
The weathering, for example, or another fundraising campaign. Can you compare that, your work, to what was done before? Where it lies? Is it more, better, like gain more funds?
Yeah. So I did the roof campaign in the summer. That raised around $6,000, but this quarter, I feel like the biggest, the most successful campaign was the Withering Storm. I made the most in that. The Millennial 50, it was a campaign that I made to invite people who are millennials who have been involved in ILIA in the past to donate $50 for 50 weeks. So far, it hasn't really done as well as the previous campaigns, but still needs more work. Yeah.
So in other words, you are actually monitoring the impact.
Yeah, kind of. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's important for fundraising, to measure the impact and to see if lessons need to be learned from current, or, do something better than a previous one, or follow a certain model you did before, something like that. Jazakumullah khair.
All right, that sounds good. Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khairan, Islam, for presenting. So, funny enough, the person who's right after Islam is his big brother, Baha. So now we have a competition between siblings. So let's see if he shows up. Baha, you're up.
Yeah. Sound like everybody. The intern team, you guys got to wake up of it. I mean, you guys are celebrating, well, not celebrating, but you're about to be celebrating, how far you've gone over the past 3 months. You're talking about, oh, I impacted hundreds of lives and all these things. And you're saying it like, I impacted hundreds of lives. Like, it's something amazing. I'm proud of you all, and you should all be proud of yourselves. I'm not, throwing shade. You guys are doing a great job. But, I'm Behet Haraz. I've been around with ILIA since around 2017, early 2018. I'm a current third-year student at UMD studying computer science and physics. And I took the lead of the organization in 2019. And I guess this is my second year being present. On the next slide. So my role at ILIA, especially these past 3 months, just focused on that. I think I was mainly like a mentor, a representative, and a team leader. I spent a good deal of time coaching people on the team, some more than others, but trying to give as much advice as possible to anybody on the team. Also as a representative in that, in meetings with partnerships, or just in keeping up with outside organizations, whether it's, things like Salesforce, or, what was focused on this quarter, local masajid, and so on. I was often the one in the meetings kind of representing the youth and what they need, and kind of our terms. And then finally, a team leader. We have this recurring 7:15 a.m. Morning kind of Good Morning ILIA meeting that I established beginning of the year about. It stands for GMI, Gratitude, Motivation, Innovation. And with the help of others, I also took part at some points leading this meeting, kind of using the morning hours to coach the team, excite them, and coordinate for the day. So I think this kind of, to the team, you'll see a much more polished and final version of this. But I think this kind of represents my role best. These were kind of the specific things I did over the past 3 months, but this is kind of what ILIA does. There's a lot of things. There's, administration, knowledge house, public relations and branding, student experience. And, I kind of want to include all the faces of all the people at ILIA. And my role here is really like making sure that the people at the center, the donors, the partners, and the students get the best that they can get, and also making sure that everything here is happening, right? And so one thing I want to highlight also is the amount of people on this diagram right now. If you could go to the next slide, it kind of ties in. The third bullet here, which is one of the things I'm most proud of in terms of ILIA, is we expanded the ILIA team pretty significantly, where we used to have, maybe at the beginning of the year, 0 full-time staff. Now we have, 2 full-time and like 4 part-time members, along with our team of about 20 interns. I'm extremely proud of that because it shows that, there's more work to be done at ILIA. There's more people who are able to do the work at ILIA, and there's more people who could spend their time making an impact in their community. And some other more specific things I did, I helped complete 3 partner programs with local, masajid and so on, impacting over 100 youth, whether it's, just a youth outdoor event, or it was setting up the school for Dar Taqwa, kind of facilitating that partnership and that making, the contract, drafting it, getting it signed, and having the discussion between that and making sure the ILIA team and the Dar Taqwa team kind of get this done and agree on the terms. Also, one more specific thing I did was, secured a grant from Howard County for youth empowerment, and been following up and doing reports on that, and also kind of not directly related to my role, but I had the, privileged opportunity to help one youth find a place to stay when he didn't have one in our Baltimore location. So I went and kind of maintained the location and helped him move in and so on. Finally, the impact ILIA has had on me. That's a picture of me from around when I first started being president, like 2019. I was wearing a hoodie, and obviously I look a lot different now. And I definitely am a lot different. I'm a lot more self-aware and religious, alhamdulillah. I'm also a lot more empathetic, although that's something I still really need to work on. It's been a weakness of mine for a while. But, being able to be empathetic and connect with people more often and more organized, before I didn't even really think about trying to be organized. And now, alhamdulillah, I have multiple notebooks and so forth. Skills was project management, finances, public speaking, leading a team and connecting with people, writing and content creation, organizational data, kind of a lot of soft skills, but also some really interesting technical skills that I didn't expect to learn in, my time at school, or wouldn't have learned in time at school, such as managing organization, its data, its finances, and so forth. And future goals, I really want to continue kind of developing my ability to kind of connect with people and treat them to the best way possible, of course, in accordance with the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Also, consistency. This has been the challenge of mine, I think, since, as long as I can remember, just being consistent with one thing. I'm more energetic bursts and so forth. But, with this role, you have to be consistently checking up on that entire diagram. And that's something that I really need to work on. And Brother Ayman is helping me a lot with that. Also, risk taking, not just kind of taking the easy way out, instead putting myself out there and the organization out there and pushing everybody to take those risks. Finally, and more focus. This is something I think that I'm really getting, that kind of waking up and being focused on what's happening today in terms of everything that's going on in my life and everything that's going on in ILIA. And finally, Khatib. I like to give a khutbah one day, probably when coronavirus is over. Yeah, and that's all. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, Baha. One question from me is regarding the partnership program. Can you talk about what are the 3 partners that ILIA was able to partner with, and what types of programs have you done or are planning to do?
Yeah, so it was the ones that I directly contributed to was the Mariam Center. We did well, first there was a Howard County. We got a grant from them, and kind of from there, part of the grant was having outdoor retreats for people during COVID that, of course, compliant, but also, important so that the youth in the community still can stay connected. So we had like a small outdoor event for the youth at Mariam Center. So second partnership, and then also the Dar Taqwa online school partnership, where they have a Sunday school. They had to take it online, and when Corona first started, it was kind of rough for them. So they reached out to us saying like, can you help us set up the school? And so I didn't necessarily, set up the thing itself, but I instead was focused on, talking with board members and, administrators at Dar Taqwa, getting a contract, making sure it's signed, and making sure that the team kind of follows up on it, and also that the team gets all of their rights and Dar Taqwa gets all of their rights. And that was a pretty big learning experience for me as well.
MashaAllah. Yeah, and I think this is very similar to what the other project, I forgot the name, I think it was Hanan maybe, about partnering with the masjids, especially with like the youth crisis line as one example. I think it's really important. It's something missing from our Muslim community, because there's a lot of organizations that are disparate, and they do a lot of the same work, but they don't partner together. So I think that's really important, and I'm looking forward for ILIA to expand this partner program to work with more masajids, because that's really how we can be more effective. Because when we combine our resources, we become more effective and are able to do more. So it's very exciting, mashallah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
جزاكم خيرا بها. It's good to see you. It has been a long time. So one question for you. So do you have someone else you prepare to take your role, and what's your look in the future at ILIA?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm currently coaching one person. We're still kind of in the process, and also in the meantime trying to create a solid documentation for everything on how do you run ILIA. And in terms of the future, I think it would be best for me to leave ILIA as president role before I enter graduate school, which is my plan after college. Because in graduate school, I don't know if I'll have the time, and I think ILIA right now deserves even more time than I can give as it is right now. So kind of transitioning it to somebody else, hopefully 2021 or 2022. Probably actually transitioning 2022, but starting that process formally in 2021.
جزاكم الله خير.
All right. Moving forward, Jazakallah khairan Baha. Like the energy today, it was really good. We have Shad. Is Shad here? I don't think she is. All right, so we'll move on to Jannah actually. So let me put Jannah on real quick. Jannah, you want to call? There you are. All right, cool. Exciting. Let me wait for this to load. A lot of assets here in it. All right, I think we're good. All right, so whenever you want to get started, whenever this loads actually, all right, there we go.
My name is Jannah Nassar. I've been with ILIA since it started, but I didn't become an intern until early 2017. Alhamdulillah, I've been an intern since then, and then mid-2020, I became head of outreach. So my current role at ILIA is head of outreach, and if you split it into two main kind of categories, it has to do with kind of promoting and advertising events, and then also kind of leading and managing the outreach team. So the first half is the promoting and advertising, which is very simple, kind of communicating it with the public, telling them about all of our programs, events, and sharing them like all the educational resources or articles, videos, things like that. So typically I create like a promotion plan or some sort of like outreach map where we kind of break it down. So what emails we're sending out on what day, how we're going to be targeting the youth, things like that, as well as managing the social media. And then as for leading the outreach team, I work with the outreach interns on a daily basis, kind of training them in different project parts. So if they are a website editor, kind of training them on how to create a more engaging post or updating the website in a timely fashion, or if they're a video editor, kind of making sure that they're working on the YouTube well, things like that. And then as well as like assisting them in tasks when needed. So if they need information or any content or anything, I'd be willing to help them and provide them with that information. As for that, that's mainly my role, kind of working on the advertising and the leading the interns. So some main accomplishments from the past quarter, the quarter 4 of 2020, is I actually worked on creating a new website with the help of ILIA. We created the new ILIA website that was released on December 12th, so just recently. It's been able to increase the engagement, and we've actually been able to increase ticket sales ever since we kind of transitioned over to the new site. Another thing that we worked on is we worked on a lot of programs this year. Just in the last quarter, we had a lot of different youth discussions, fundraisers, and educational events. I know the Youth Council, we kicked off our very first event, so alhamdulillah, that was really beneficial. And just through these programs, the community has been able to learn a lot of different information on different topics. So I know APPL held one of their programs about incarcerated prisoners and was actually able to help write letters to release one of those prisoners. And then the last big accomplishment from this year is just the outreach team in general and kind of training the interns. We worked recently to kind of actually increase our team. So now the outreach team consists of 9 members, alhamdulillah. So I work with all 9 of those to assist them and kind of teach them outreach services. And so the impact on the community, through the new website, we've actually been able to provide easier navigation to our programs, which actually allowed our program sales to increase by 15% on paid programs and 15% on free programs and over 10% on paid programs. And alhamdulillah, this has allowed the community to attend the programs easier, which provides them different outputs so they can learn more about all of our programs and just Deen in general, because a lot of our programs are obviously tied back to that Islamic value. And this new website has also provided them a lot easier access to our thoughts of leaders and voices of the present, which you heard Hanan talk about earlier. And as for the impact on myself, it has definitely helped me in numerous ways. Aside from learning more about my deen and my religion, it's definitely helped me in many ways. For example, time management. I've definitely learned on bettering my time management, kind of managing my time, as well as kind of fitting that in with the rest of the team's time and just kind of balancing things between school, projects, and other things like that. I've definitely increased my communication skills. I think before I took on the role of head of outreach, I was definitely a very independent person. So I like to do my work and just kind of communicate with the one person that I needed to work with. But as head of outreach, I communicate with the entire team as well as like other departments and basically everyone here at ILIA. And as for the leadership, it's definitely increased. I know I learned a lot more planning, managing, and definitely a lot more organizing. So I think in general, it's definitely helped me grow as a person, but it's definitely impacted me very well in my religion as well. I've gotten a lot closer to my deen through the Good Morning ILIA talks and just kind of attending the programs. As for future steps, inshallah, I hope to continue with ILIA. I'm 16 years old, so I still have 2 years left of high school and inshallah continue through college. But yeah, that is all my future steps. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair. 2 questions. I mean, I think this is very good as far as da'wah. I think outreach is directly related to da'wah, and ILIA plays a very important role as we are a non-Muslim country. How do we promote our deen? And this is directly related to that. So my question first is, what outreach has ILIA done regarding non-Muslims specifically? Can you give some examples of maybe some projects that you guys have worked on?
Yeah, so a lot of our videos and things like that, we actually kind of promote them on like social media platforms. So for example, when we create a video, we'll kind of promote them. And obviously the tags that we use are a lot of things that non-Muslims will be searching up or kind of just attracting youth in general. But also through Nureen, she does the partnership analyst. So she reaches out to tons of places across the nation, including some of which are not Muslims. So it's definitely helped kind of promoting the ILIA message to non-Muslims. And as for like programs, we've had students in the past who aren't Muslims in general, but they've learned about our programs through email lists or just through social media, because I think that was the biggest way where people have been able to kind of learn about us through a non-Islamic environment.
And I know there's a partnership I think Dar Taqwa has with the Muslim and Jewish communities in Colombia. I forgot the name of it, but I know they were doing like a once a month session where the group would visit a mosque, come to Dar Taqwa, then we'd go to the church, then the synagogue. So that's something maybe you guys might want to consider, just partnering with them to give dawah, because it's really a group that already wants to learn about Islam. The second question I had, just I know you talked about impact on the community. Can you measure that quantitatively? I know you gave, I think, some examples. Was there any way that you can measure it as far as like, I know it's kind of hard sometimes, but any statistics you can give?
Yeah, sure. So actually going back to the point you mentioned about the Islamic or the organization of different religions, I think it's called PATH, but we did used to them in the past. We, unfortunately, because of coronavirus, we weren't able to do it this year, but in 2018 we did. So definitely a great opportunity. Inshallah, we can continue that. As for the impact on the community, we definitely had a big difference. I think once we kind of made that transition, we were able to increase the attendance of our programs by 15%. So people were coming to the programs more and they were able to learn more about what we were doing. So for example, some programs they would come and they would learn about Islam, and then they learn a lot about whatever the topic at hand was. So for example, the letter writing night had a lot of non-Muslims in that one, and they came to the program, they learned about Islam and all of that, and they also learned about different prisoners and why we were trying to help free those prisoners that were incarcerated. And so that was kind of just one example of how this increase in ticket sales has definitely helped the community, just learning about different educational purposes.
Jazakallah khair.
I have no questions. جزاكم خير Jannah.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, cool. Jazakallah khairan. Moving on forward, we have Abdul Rahman, I believe. Let me just check one more time on my phone. Yeah, it's for Abdul Rahman Fagali. We're actually a little bit above time. Is that how you say it? We're not on. Yeah, we're early. We're early.
Early.
Yeah, we're early. So alhamdulillah, we're doing well. But Fagali, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Abdurrahman Fargali. I'm currently the Director of Technology / Intern. I have been in this role since September 2020. Previously, I have served as an outreach intern, tech intern, then as an outreach intern, then the Director of Outreach. I stopped around May. I need to take a break, and then moved and returned again and became the Director of Technology. So currently my role is setting a strategic capacity planning for digital assets managed and owned by ILIA. The onboarding of new interns, whether by creating email addresses for them, giving them access to softwares or digital assets that they would need to use. I also do ensure the digital security of the organization and its assets. I ensure having up-to-date data on the website. And, lastly, have all the technology trends at ILIA, following the trends. So currently, one thing I forgot, I'm currently a freshman at college. I go to Howard Community College and study computer science. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to drop that in the middle. So one of my three key accomplishments is we were able to successfully have internet access in the Baltimore side. And we did enhance the security of the organization by following the latest trends and create an online platform for students to take online self-paced classes virtually and remotely. So the impact that I had on the community is that I ensured the safety of the donors and student information. Now we deal with students who are under 18. Many of them are under 18, and we deal with donors' confidential data and payment info. So for these info to go public, and that would just be devastating. It would have many bad consequences, whether it's a donor or a student. So it's one of our duties to ensure that they are well secured and prevented from being unauthorized access. Um, I also created a learning option that will ensure the student health and safety through virtual learning. Now, as we know, during COVID-19, we cannot have an in-person meeting. It would be high risk for a student to come and be with us in person, especially that many of us be living with people who are vulnerable. Um, at the same time, our learning platform could be accessed by students who are overseas. So if we have a student in Egypt who would like to take a class with ILIA and they don't have the time, they cannot come to the United States. At the same time, we cannot offer the class to you due to the time differences. They can actually take it and as a self-paced class, and they would be able to, email the course creator and get feedback and ask for feedback or questions or, address any concerns they have. And I ensure that the ability for students and interns to have access to the internet and the Baltimore site when they're present. So some point we need to go to the Baltimore side. You still need to be present there for various reasons. And we need internet. It's life right now. Everything needs internet. So for us, that's a great help. And that helps us bring impact to the community. So the impact on myself and the next steps I need to take. So myself, I had more awareness about cybersecurity. That's a topic that I'm interested in, and for me to read about it, I just learned more. Whether the new trends, the new ways that people have unauthorized access happen. I learned new security measures that enterprises takes, and I actually was able to my communication skills / soft skills. For me, that's a great thing that I'm still working on. I haven't fully gained it, but it really improved. For me, the next steps I'm taking is that I want to invest time with the organization and continuously ask from feedback from my peers, the people above me and under me. I think any feedback would be valuable to improve for myself and be a better person, whether it's on personal needs or as a person, as a worker, and learn the processes that enterprise IT departments follow. That's a thing that I think I really need to learn since I don't have previous IT experience. So for me, I think learning such a thing would help the organization grow more, especially with the plans that the organization have. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Um,
Jazakallah khair, Brother Abdurrahman. So coming from a background in technology, I could tell you that this is key to every organization. And I think ILIA was already investing heavily in technology, back when I was on the board in 2011. So I think ILIA is in good position. I want to ask you two questions. So what learning platform does ILIA use currently? I think it's really important, especially in everybody's remote now. So what learning platform, what's the name of the
So
platform you guys are using?
So currently we have two platforms. There is one for self-paced classes where, students can just take it on their own time and their effort. They don't really have a lot of access to the instructor. They can still miss and ask us questions, and we'd be happy to answer them. And there is platforms where when we offer a class that's through Zoom, and there's gonna be a long-term plan, a month, and we need like some learning management system, LMS. So we have Moodle as LMS. For our self-paced classes, we use a service called Teachable. I'm not sure if you heard about it. If you know Network Chalk or This is IT, if you ever heard about it, they use the service too. David Blombell.
Okay. MashaAllah. Yeah. And how many overseas students do you guys have? You mentioned overseas students.
So we, I think for the last time I knew that we had one overseas student, but I know that we had many students who are interested in taking classes, but we didn't have the option to offer it to them. So we can give you, I cannot give you a specific number, but for us, I think that with offering self-paced classes, it won't harm to try and expand, and grow more as offering classes to overseas students, whether they're just residing in another country or, whatever the case is.
No, I was just asking because it's mashallah a very good thing that ILIA is not just a national organization, even though it's a national by name. Islam is a universal religion. So, mashallah, jazakallah khair. That's it for me.
Jazakumullah khair, Abdurrahman. So, do you know how many students are taking classes within the US, and do you guys provide classes just for undergrad or middle school? Is it religious, scientific? What kind of topics you cover?
So our classes mainly fall under the leadership from Islamic perspective. That doesn't mean though that we don't offer classes on other areas. So we currently offer classes in project management mainly. There's also one of our classes is APPL, Advocacy Policy. And I know that so one of your questions was about how many students we have. So that's an info that I don't have really.
Okay, Jazakumullah khair.
That would be.
I understand that you guys have different rules, so that's okay. Jazakallah khair.
All right, if that's all. All right, cool. Jazakallah khairan, Abdurrahman. Shad, you wanna go next? Shadi.
Sure.
Cool. Let me see if this works real quick. Can you give me access to your thing?
Yeah, one second.
All right. In the meanwhile, Sumaya, you want to go?
Sure, yeah, I could go.
All right, sounds good.
So, assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Sumaya Abdul Mutagalli, and I'm a sophomore in high school, and I've been with ILIA for about 7 months now, alhamdulillah, and I work in the outreach department with media and research. So essentially, my role here at ILIA is to create content. I create content for ILIA's YouTube channel through both our interview series, Thoughts of Leaders, and Voice of the President, which inshallah I'll touch upon later on future slides. And I also write up informative articles and press releases. So some of my key accomplishments for this fall quarter include 7 published interviews for both Voice of the President and Thoughts of Leaders. Voice of the President is an interview series by youth for youth, providing teens with an outlet to share their accomplishments, to share their knowledge, and their stories to ultimately inspire other teens. And Thoughts of Leaders is another interview series where we invite our community leaders to speak. And this series, it brings light to various topics and issues, and it provides youth and pretty much all with insight from professionals. And the videos are directed towards youth, so we try to keep them like short as possible, since the younger generation is known to have a shorter attention span.
And alhamdulillah, I've also published 9 articles for ILIA's main website. These articles are based upon the topic of the interview. So for example, we interviewed one of ILIA's former, as you can see here in the bottom corner, Rayan Sheikh, about positive mindsets, right? So I wrote an informative article to go with the interview about positive mindsets. And I've also recently been working with the Wellness Clinic, a new program that's just been kicking off. I know Razine spoke about it earlier. And I've written 2 brief articles, research articles relating to heart disease that have been published. And I've also published 5 press releases this quarter, and each press release received an average of 135 views, alhamdulillah. So these press releases are written up about ILIA's programs to help promote them, and also like ILIA's stance on current events. So the more views we gain, it means the more media hear about ILIA and its mission and our religion, Islam. So impact on the community, I kind of touched upon this. Like I mentioned before, I've been helping like inspire, educating, and advising youth on multiple topics through both my articles and interviews, and I've been providing youth with opportunities to express and voice themselves. And like I said, with my press releases, also informing more people about Islam, so it's a form of da'wah. Impact on myself, alhamdulillah, it's really just been huge. I know I've been gaining a whole lot of real world experience. And one example I can give just off the top of my head is when I was part of the team giving job interviews. I would have never expected me, just a 15-year-old, be doing that, but you know, there I was. And I've also found passions and maybe even possible careers. I know through my interviews, I'm writing interviews and writing articles based on that. And I was also taking an elective journalism course at school, and I realized I was doing exactly journalism, and I was like, this is kind of fun, and I really enjoyed doing it. And you know, I've also gained so much more confidence in me speaking. I mean, a couple of months back, I would have been like shaking here, really nervous talking right now. And you can clearly see, if you watch some of the older interviews, which I know, I hope you don't, you can see like a whole bunch of growth. You know, in the beginning, I'm sitting there, my voice is shaking, I'm really shy, my camera position kind of wonky. But alhamdulillah, if you watch some of the newer ones, it just seems much more professional. So some of the next steps, I mean, I hope to continue with ILIA in the future. Some of the next steps, some of my goals would be to have an article, some of my articles or press releases featured in a local news outlet such as like CBS Baltimore or WJZ. And also to schedule interviews with more well-known people. I know we had one with Yasmin Al-Hadi. She was kind of a prominent comedian in the DMV area, so that was really cool. It was a really fun interview. And also for Voice of the President to try to branch out and invite more youth outside of the ILIA bubble, just to get more faces and hear more voices. Yeah, thank you for listening to me speak.
Jazakumullah khairan, Sumaya. I have maybe 1 or 2 quick questions. So in the impact on the community, can you go back to that slide? Do you have any kind of data or measures on how much impact the work you do is very great, but is there a way you can measure it?
We usually measure it through like the likes of the videos, you know, seeing how like the videos have been increasing likes, you know, more interns are sharing it, more people are watching it. And also the website has been receiving more traffic, more people are visiting the website since there is more content on it.
So for your future goal, why don't you have a goal to write an op-ed, maybe in the Times or in any New York Times or any journal? Why local? Your goal should be higher than that. So your next step will be local, but your final goal will be to write something as a Muslim young lady. You represent the community, you represent ILIA, and your affiliation will be very clear to everyone, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Yeah, I have, Assalamu alaikum, Jazakallah khair for the presentation, Sister Sumaya. I think, you know, just looking at this from the perspective of what the community and the world is facing right now, this pandemic, there's a lot of young people who are lost and they're looking for meaning. And I think this is a good opportunity for ILIA to present the Islamic perspective on how we view events like this. And so sharing, you know, a hadith or Quran verses like Inna ma'al usri yusra, really opens people's minds, especially non-Muslims, in a time when everyone's looking for, you know, a cure, you know, and the cure only comes by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think that what you're doing is very impactful. And like Brother Dr. Ahmed said, I think looking at this from a global and just opening up the horizons and not just focusing local is very important. especially with the ability for ILIA right now with technology to reach a global audience. So jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah, that sounds good. We have 2 people left. Thank you, Sumaya, for pulling this off. Alhamdulillah. So we're gonna do it like this. It's gonna be Shad first, and then after Shad, it's going to be Omar Malash. So let's see if this works. Shad, the slide. You just want to present your screen? You just want to share your screen?
Okay, one second.
All right. In the meantime, I'm actually going to go with Omar first. And then Shad can sort of.
Okay.
Refresh your slide real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta wait for it to load. Forgot about that little hiccup.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Omar Malash, and I'm a technology intern here at ILIA. I've been here since October 2020. I'm a senior. I'm a high school senior, and I'm looking to major in computer science. All right. So my role at ILIA, I'm a technology intern here, but I'm the scholarship project lead. I've coded websites and email templates to help spread information about each individual scholarship. I've sent out emails through through MailChimp to help spread awareness about these scholarships and made it easier to access to like apply to these and like ease of access on the websites by creating an application portal for all these scholarships. Another thing I do here is I edit websites. So I've learned and utilized HTML and WordPress skills to edit different web pages, and I also am part of the YCL technology team, and I create and manage analytics on Salesforce to manage the information about each of the calls. Some key accomplishments. So in total, we raised $3,895 in total for all the scholarships. I've created various web pages and edited some, and I've managed analytics through MailChimp to see what we can do to improve click efficiency and open rate. Some impacts on the community that I've had is I spreading awareness of the various scholarships offered by ILIA through emails and web page editing, and making it easier to apply to these said scholarships by making one big application portal for them all. The impact on myself is I utilize coding skills that I've learned throughout school, because I've been learning coding throughout the years, but I haven't really utilized it until here at ILIA, which has given me some real world experience since I want to work in technology. I learned different performance management skills, such as like knowing what KPIs are, tip sheets, stuff like that. I definitely became closer to my dean, because I was pretty close before, but just hearing, like, being in GMI every single morning, learning something new about Islam, something like that every day, just it was kind of a reminder to just stick close to my dean. Some next steps, I definitely need to improve my time management skills, because I'm not very good at that at the moment. I have a lot on my plate that I have to do, and I'm not very good at managing all that. I definitely have to become better at communication as well, because again, I'm a pretty independent person, but I need to get better at my team skills, and just and lastly, to improve my technological skills to further my career path, since I am looking to major in computer science. So yeah.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Omar. You mentioned analyzing data via Salesforce. So were there anything that you were able to propose, any ideas to improve ILIA's, performance? So I think it was on the second slide, one before. Yeah, here we go. Manage analytics through MailChimp to see what we can do to improve click efficiency. So was there anything that you were able to see through, those analytics? Anything you were able to suggest or ideas? I ask the hard questions, man. You have to be ready for Mahmoud. Mahmoud asks tough questions.
Well, that was kind of the last thing that I worked on, but there was something like the time that you send out the emails plays a big part, because obviously if you send it in the morning, you have to send it at a good time where everyone's like available. You have to I don't know. Yeah.
So you're saying like looking at like the time the email you guys are sending, based on the time you got a different maybe response rate, a different number of people who opened it. Maybe more people opened it at night versus in the day, and based on that you're able to adjust.
Yeah.
Like something like that. Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakum khair, Omar. Can you talk a little bit about the effect on the community again? Is there any way you can give some measures?
Affecting the community? Sure. Okay. Okay. So, for example, I just made it easier to apply to these different scholarships. For example, because each scholarship has its own separate web page on the website, and a lot of them were kind of just messed up. Like it wasn't very effective. Like the links wouldn't work, or like it was very hard to like locate the donation links, for example, or like where like the application portal, difficult to find it. I edited these web pages to make it very easy to access and find. And yeah, that's one thing I did. And yeah.
So did you guys have someone try it to confirm that it's easier now? Or was that only you confirmed like now it's easier? Yeah. Did you get user experience per se?
I kind of just tested it out myself, but the web pages before they did not work at all. They kind of just had broken, like for example, they had broken donation links or broken, like it just didn't work really. So I fixed it up to make it like easier and just making it work.
Just word of advice, because I am from outside area, so it's best to have someone else try it from outside ILIA bubble, like you all have been saying. Like if someone would try it, would it work on a cell phone compared to a desktop, something like that? Jazakallah khair.
What Ammo Ahmed is saying, let him test the donation link so he can make some donations.
I tested it, it's working.
Jazakallah khairan.
Cool. So last but not least, it's Shad. Let's get this started. My fault. Do you want to share your screen, Shad? Cool. I think you're unmuted.
I'm Chataid and I'm a senior in high school. I've been working here since March of 2020, and my role as an engineer is that the past few months I've been able to work on the quarterly report and just like gathering information and trying to like find new ways on how to like highlight the events of the quarter. I also recently started drafting emails for a few of the past events and helping out in any outreach related project like activities. Um, and like making the COVID informational video for the wellness clinic. Some of my key accomplishments this quarter were teamwork and planning out making it for the quarter report. Because I learned from like some of my past mistakes in the last quarters, and I knew that like this time I could like bring out the quarter report at the right time. I also worked with Jannah and sent out emails and just like overall learned how to make professional emails for the community. I believe like that sharing the message throughout the emails and is the best impact I've had on the community. And as I send out the quarter report this week, I think it can help ILIA go even more and show people that ILIA can be helpful to many people, and, whether it's the youth or the adults. I think within this quarter, I've been able to open up more and ask for help. And I also feel like I have a better understanding of myself and my goals. Some of my next steps is applying those skills in real life and just trying to be more open to new things, and also becoming a morning person because I know it's important to start off my day in the best way possible. Yeah, so thank you. Any questions?
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair for the presentation. Can you quantify the impact on the community? Was there any way, I know sometimes it's difficult, is there any way, stats that maybe you can provide?
I think it's more because I still didn't send out the quarter report, so I can't really say much other than that I shared. Like I tried to show the community what ILIA is all about. But when I send out the quarter report by today or tomorrow, I feel like I could impact the community more and like show them what ILIA has done this past year.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. One other question. On one of your slides, you mentioned making a plan to avoid problems like last quarter. What have you learned from the previous quarter that you adjusted this quarter? I know when you say making a plan, can you be a little bit more specific?
I kind of like put a start date a start and a due date for every like I think kind of like drafting an email for the quarter report, gathering information from the interns, asking for advice from other people. I just put like due dates for every single task I had that could give like the best outcome to the report, and that like helped me set up a plan that I could like that I know is the best possible way.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khairan. So Brother Mahmoud always asks the hard questions that covers my questions. Jazakallah khair.
Any questions from the crowd before we move forward? Sorry if there isn't. All right, Jazakallah khairan, Shad. Thank you for the presentation. And to wrap it all off, Amu Ayman, you wanted to speak a couple words?
Jazakallah khairan. So a big takbir, Allahu Akbar. Very inspiring, mashallah. Thank you for our judges. You asked really good questions, and I wasn't joking when I said Mahmoud asked hard questions. He used to give me trouble when he was younger, your age. So, so alhamdulillah, it paid off. But you guys are awesome. I want to share some quick thoughts from what I've seen or heard. You've all, mashallah, manifested or showed leadership skills in action, and great selection of the ayat that we started with from Surah Taha. I'm not sure who chose those, but they're very, appropriate for the occasion. I know speaking in public is not easy, and you're speaking about a topic that's not easy, which is impact on yourself and future plans and goals and impact on community. So kudos to all of you for following the footsteps of Musa alayhi salam and others. You might not recognize the value of what you're doing, but I can share one example that just happened a couple of days ago on the crisis line. And it was you guys who were out there talking. I was actually outdoors enjoying myself. And you texted me, said, hey, we have someone who needs some help. And when we connected with that person, it turns out to be a non-Muslim girl. She was 12 and she's confused about her identity, and she had depressive moments and suicidal thoughts. And alhamdulillah, through your action, through the posts that Hanan puts up there, and the work that Jannah does, and Zafar, and the Instagram live that Behat and others had, you were able to help this young person who pretty much, after talking to her, she had no purpose in life. And she's just an example of the 69 million American youth that are out there. Not every person necessarily has the same type of issue, but it's a general trend that young people, especially who don't have a faith, they don't have a purpose in life. So this is an extremely important activity of da'wah. And while you guys might not be, talking to a pharaoh, you're taking some small steps, inshallah, towards spreading the truth. And I did hear that many of you have learned lessons from previous quarters or, early on in your internship, and you've applied it, in the recent weeks. And I've seen that myself. So alhamdulillah, that's a great encouragement. What's important is we look at ourselves and how we're improving every day. It's not important how we compare ourselves to others, but how do we compare our today to our yesterday? You all articulated your roles very clearly, your accomplishments and the impact on yourself. I think you all did a great job on that. The common weakness that I saw, an area that we can all improve in, and I think part of it is on me, is we didn't articulate clearly the impact on community, on society. So maybe we need to do a little bit better job understanding each other's work and knowing the tools that we have at our disposal better, and digging deeper into it to use some of the analytics, because the data is there. I think we just need to bring it up to the surface. Partnerships is important to success. A number of you touched on how you've partnered with other organizations and how that's making impact. Obviously the work that Noreen is doing is so important. Within just a span of 2-3 months, there's more than 400 organizations that now know about ILIA. Just in Maryland alone, 22 foster homes, 250 public schools, 12 or 16 public school districts. So you can, go on with the statistics across the country. About 350 masjids now know about the crisis line. Even if they don't open the message, at least you've taken the first step. So partnerships is so important. I think Mahmoud kind of touched on that a few times. And what you want to also be a little bit more cognizant, the impact that you might not be aware of. So always ask the question, why? Why am I doing this piece of work? Why are we doing it this way? And that would help you understand the impact. So again, kudos, alhamdulillah. This is a bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have the pleasure hearing what you shared. Keep up the good work. I know 2 of you had personal circumstances. You've lost loved ones recently, and you were a little hesitant to come today and present. And alhamdulillah, Allah gave you the strength to be here with us and present your ideas. So may Allah make it easy on you and your families, inshallah. And the best thing you can do to carry on the legacy of your loved ones, your grandparents, is to continue to do this good work, because I'm sure they had an impactful role in the lives of your parents, and your parents had an impactful role in your life. And to keep up that sadaqah for them after they leave this life is for you to continue this good work. So jazakumullah khairan. And I want to thank again Dr. Ahmed for sharing his insights with us, and Brother Mahmoud for those great questions and critical thoughts. Alhamdulillah. I'll turn it back to you, Alawi.
Cool. So again, this reminder, highest scoring intern gets valedictorian, and also top 5, 6 around that will also speak at the graduation, presenting a little bit about their slides. They will be announced at Good Morning ILIA tomorrow, 7 a.m., 7:15 a.m. actually, so be prepared. And then celebration, 6 p.m. It's going to be a fun time. Bring friends and family. You can bring chips and guac for yourself. We can't really share it because it's like a virtual thing. But other than that, alhamdulillah. Thank you all for coming. This was a very good experience, and I'm very happy to see the team that I work with being so impactful and engaging. So yeah, anyone else? This is a free time to throw your thoughts out there. Anybody can throw your thoughts, but if not, jazakallah khair.
Jazakum khairan for making us part of this.
Wa iyyakum. Inshallah, we see you tomorrow. You join us, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair. See you guys tomorrow, inshallah.